session. The first thing really is from Safe Hands, and all of you who have recently been through the process will know Safe Hands, those people who are being re-accredited. And I've just pulled together the page, the ECB guidance on appointing and training a welfare officer. And there's essentially 3 areas. There's the area about making sure you've got your DBS up to date, which a club chairman responsibility needs to make sure that you have a viable person to do it, person who's known to the club who can provide references. The Safe Hands training, which we'll obviously talk about a lot this evening, and your safeguarding certificate. So there's the thing we need. And first of all, I want to start off with DBS. And Claire has certainly just sent round an update for counties. And one of the things that I just want to start off really, a question that's come in is about the documents. Is that right, Claire, that as verifiers and the few people who are verifiers are expected to ask applicants to email copies of their documents to us prior to going online and verifying that?
There's basically 2 ways that it can be done. If it can be done either via over a Zoom call or a Teams call or a Facebook call, or some verifiers have been shown the documents with the person next to them, so that they can actually see, you know, if for example it's a passport, whether it is that person whose documents that they're looking at. So that's the way we would recommend that the verifications are done online at the moment.
Okay. The other question that came in beforehand was about the classic one. The ECB have written to me to ask me to post my recent DBS certificate to them. And people ask why.
Oh, hang on. Andrew, this.
So it may be that you're not, it's probably because you're not part of the update service, and there may be some reason for them to see what is on that certificate. We do have a new vetting process, whereby, particularly if it's your first certificate, we will go through a vetting process to ensure that you are safe with children. So that's probably why you've been asked to send it in. We have somebody from the DBS team monitors the post on a sort of weekly basis, so they won't get lost or anything. And then they're collected and kept in a safe place by our DBS team.
Thanks. Claire, I'm just going to remind people again. I'm going to mute everybody. So Claire, you have to unmute yourself. But could we just please make sure you don't unmute yourself? I've muted everybody now. Claire will unmute herself. But if you've got a question, please come in with your microphone by all means. Put your hand up. Hopefully people know that, or give us a wave on the screen. And you're welcome to either ask questions by the microphone or via the chat box. So I'm waiting for any other questions really that's going to come in via the chat box, or anybody who wants to ask any questions to follow up those first 2 questions. As I say, it does cause a bit of confusion about the DBS. I know for a fact, because the safeguarding team write regularly to people to remind them to send DBS certificates into them. They send several reminders, and at the end of the several reminders, there's a final reminder, and then after that, I get a letter that say that that person is temporarily suspended. What then happens is they go into panic mode, they ring everybody up, and they then, within the day usually, send the certificate back to the ECB safeguarding team. So please, if you do actually have any that queries, or if you get anybody in your club who is concerned, just reassure them. Just say, look, just send it back to the ECB safeguarding team as instructed, and it will be sorted out.
I'll just say, Phil, that the DBS team do have an email address that you can send any queries to, and that's dbs@ecb.co.uk. So well worth contacting them if you've got any DBS queries. Okay.
John Gray has just asked. John, if you want to come in with a question, please do.
Yeah, Phil and Claire, thanks. Where my lack of clarity with DBS arises is when someone's just about to come up expiry, they've done one, say 3 years ago, will they be on the online automatic renewal, or will they get something in the post? I can't tell when someone's going to be one or the other, or whatever. That's where my confusion lies.
If they're on the update service automatically checks that DBS on a yearly basis.
What I can't tell is how do I tell from my list? I have a template that tells me when people's are expiring. I don't know who's on the update service and who isn't. That's my problem.
Right, okay. You probably don't have access to that information then. I think probably your best bet is if you've got a query about anyone, contact the team and they'll be able to let you know. If someone's coming to you with are you talking about those that come to you with a renewal after 3 years to renew?
Yeah, it's me because it's me because I want to make sure that we're compliant. I want to keep on top of people, and they say, well, what's going to happen then? And I say, well, to be honest, I don't know. You might get something in the post, you might get something online, I don't know. And it becomes quite a extensive exercise to keep on top of 20, 30 people sometimes, and not all of them in every 1 year, but you've got 20, 30, 40 people potentially with DBSs.
Yeah. The Safe Hands management system is going to improve that, but that's a different story at the moment.
That's all right. We're going to be on that, so we're one of the new ones on that. So that sounds like that might be helpful.
It will resolve a lot of the issues, but for now, really, those that haven't signed up for the update service, and you can elect to sign up for it or not, as the case may be. If you don't sign up for the update service, you will get a reminder to renew after 3 years.
And that's a postal reminder, is it?
It is, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Great. Thanks very much, John. That's great use
Cheers.
of raising the hands to the microphone. Nick Elliott, question. If you'd like to unmute yourself, Nick, thanks.
Yep, just done it. Yep, thanks, Phil. Just a quick one about the DBS on that auto renewal thing as well. How does that work as you're the person with the certificate? Do I get a new certificate, or is it just all online and then the person needs to verify
it's all online, Nick. You won't actually get a physical certificate. It'll just be online.
Okay, so my league welfare officer will have access to that, presumably, yeah?
Somebody, whoever is your sort of primary user for your league will have an update. They'll get a notification.
Okay, great. Thanks for that.
Brilliant. Thanks so much. I've got Sarah's iPhone.
Yes, that's me. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Sarah.
Hello. Last time I went onto the verification system to try and verify someone, it was closed to me still. Can you tell me if it's open now and I can verify again?
No, it's not open to you. So because we've had lockdown,
Yes.
and there's been lots of varying tiers throughout the country in recent weeks, the verification service is only available to primary and secondary county users at the moment. It is reviewed on a constant basis, but we're unable to extend that at the moment.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Sarah, just as a feedback, we've got a number of, obviously, Graham Smith's our primary users, a number of secondary users. If you go to the Essex Cricket website, go to Community Safeguarding, I've put up there the structure for how you will get that. It's being updated this week. I had hoped it had been done already, but it's within a few days it will be updated to take account of the new situation. But it's pretty straightforward, and between Graham Smith, myself, and other colleagues, we can quickly verify it. I've done several today. It's a really quick process. It's a couple of minutes with FaceTime or Zoom or lots of different ways we can do it. We can work around whatever people need. So yeah, it's working quite satisfactorily. As I say, if you've got any questions, go to the website. It's got a full structure there.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks for the question, Sarah. I'm looking, there's nobody else at the moment, unless anybody's going to come in with a question for DBS. Okay, thanks for that. Moving on to Safe Hands. And if I just take a couple of the questions that came up, not sure he's on Dave Ayres today, but he just said, why can't I book onto a course in January? I did actually put the reply that came back.
the reason you probably can't book onto a course in January is that they're full. They are filling up quite fast at the moment. I know that Ashley, who is responsible for adding additional webinar dates, has done that this week and will continue to do it in the coming weeks while we're still restricted.
Good. Thanks for that. And this is, and they certainly, Ashley and Richard certainly did reply saying the limited amount of spaces, but obviously it's just a case of like anything else, just logging on. The link has been sent around again. The link is it will be on the website. So it's a pretty straightforward process to register and then just wait your turn. But we do understand that space is limited. A rather odd one in a way that came out, and Graham Smith may want to come in on this, but it was when I've logged onto the ECB learning site, it says I don't have a Moodle account. Are you able to help me to point me in the right direction?
Right, I'll go. Right, Moodle was set up and it's for people that have been on coaching courses only. So that's all their e-learning and everything else they need to access their course stuff. So it's everybody from 2015 when the new courses were started. I've spoken to Michael Woodhouse this afternoon and clarified that. So if you haven't been on there, you can't get onto Moodle because you haven't got the course access. And at the moment, that's the way it will stay for us, as our conversation earlier. It's not just, it's just primarily for people that have been on courses or on courses that need to update stuff all the time.
Andrew, I see Andrew's on this evening. Andrew, if you wanted to come in with your mic now and ask the question I've put up, that was your question. The next one.
Yeah, thanks, Phil.
Go for it.
This is to do with the 1 year Safe Hands course, and I presume that's what January's qualification course will be. Is this a compulsory requirement, or as happened last year, will a certification be allowed to run on without a CWO having to do the 1 year extension workshop?
I can answer that, Phil. So thanks for your question. So basically there is some communication coming out from the ECB safeguarding team later this week to let club welfare officers know that if they have done the webinar, the online webinar, we're going to extend that 1 year period to 2 years, because we recognise that it's quite difficult for people to have to repeat it within a year of already having done it. So the extension is going to be for another year. So you won't actually have to do it within the next year. And hopefully by that time it'll be 2022 and we'll be back to face-to-face Safe Hands courses. In relation to your point about do we have to do it, we're not extending the face-to-face, so the answer is yes. If you're due to expire after 3 years, you need to go and book on a Safe Hands webinar, but that will then be valid for 2 years.
Okay, that's great, because I'm a league CWO as well as a club one, and that was the key question, to be able to tell clubs that they have to do the 1 year Safe Hands if their qualification is expiring.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thanks for the question, Andrew. That's certainly be good information for the staff members on this evening in terms of knowing where we're going with the Safe Hands management system. That's valuable information for us to know. Appreciate that. I'm looking to see if anybody else. John, I've got still John Gray's hand up. If you have another question, John, by all means, come in. If not, anybody else questions on Safe Hands?
Yes.
I've
it's Greenhill. I've been waving my hand, but
the raising hand is a logo. Sorry, we'll do it later, Cliff. Go on, go ahead with your question.
Oh, right. I did a webinar on the 18th of June. I think my question's been answered by Claire in that was a 1 year webinar. What you're now saying is that I won't get anything inviting me to another one this year, and my webinar certificate will carry through into 2022.
That's right, Cliff. You'll be in date until June 2022.
Brilliant. Thanks very much.
Good, thanks. Just to explain to Cliff and others, the raising hand is a thing that you do electronically with annotations. I've got 100 people on tonight, so I've only got a few of you on the screen, so I can't see anybody who's actually waving physically to me, but it's great. Also, apologies if those people got in late. We actually got a limit on 100, and it's almost the case you don't get in until somebody dropped off. So very encouraging. That I'm just waiting to see if there's any more questions on Safe Hands. One of the things that, in terms of obviously Safe Hands always does, is to update all the club welfare officers, and certainly the new Safeguarding Children updates that have just come up certainly do start to take account of things like the COVID, the lockdown, and some of those issues around there, which I'm sure Ashley and Richard will do that, and certainly will cover in safeguarding protection. But it's about some of the issues which have come in about children's mental health, the pressures a lot of kids have had, particularly who are stuck in high-rise places without gardens, without the opportunity to do any physical exercise, about domestic abuse and some of those situations around there. So obviously we are in these very difficult times, which everybody's hoping we'll get through. But rest assured, we will be trying to make sure that we continually update our information around safeguarding and good practice at all times. Any other questions? Anybody else want to come in with a comment on that, or any other questions on Safe Hands? Everybody happy about that? Good. Okay. There we go. The coaching certificates, Graham Smith has put up on the website. We've circulated it widely. The booking in system for the UK coaching Safeguarding Protecting Children certificate. Places are still available, though they are going. It's all on that information sheet. But again, going back to that original documentation from Safe Hands about requirements for welfare officers, we do need to make it absolutely clear that you need to do the UK coaching Safeguarding Good Practice, Safeguarding and Child Protection course. Any questions about that area? Any comments about it? Okay, just while we're waiting for anybody to put a hand up, the other thing that did come round, and we mentioned coach education, obviously a lot of us involved in safeguarding and coach education. And those of you who are members of the Coaches Association will know that you got round a number of updates on the coaching. One of them was about coaching virtually. A nice documentation about the way that we can actually still maintain links with kids. However, there's one possible thing that has been omitted from this, and it's the safeguarding issue. And that's around, if you are setting up any Zoom-style coaching sessions, please ensure that the parent is there to be operating the mobile phone, to be communicating. What we do not want, what we cannot have, is a lot of young children potentially logging on to a coaching session and the coach doesn't know where they are. There's no risk assessment about the facility. There's no potential dangers. And if the parents may want, so please make sure that before any Zoom coaching session or any of the other social media type things, you ensure it's the parents have logged in, they've logged on with their name on screen rather than just an iPhone name, and that they've turned the camera around so you can actually see it's physically the parents there. Parents' responsibility to risk assess the situation, the environment, the safe practice, and it's their children. What we can't have is kids just logging on without the parents know. Okay, just a little bit of a plug for with my coach education hat on. Any other questions about safeguarding and child protection? Okay, there's lots of opportunities. I just want to take you to that. Now, please use that site. It's, as I say, we are updating a few bits and pieces just in line with the current information that's just come in. But it is Essex Cricket website. Obviously, there's some great news about the county, about Dan Lawrence and all the good things. But if you go to community, you go to safeguarding, that particularly notice the safeguarding referral form. any incidents, that is now a much improved form rather than the one that used to be in safe hands and a bit blurry. It's a comprehensive form, and that you can download it, you can fill it in online. Anything that happens at any time that you've got any concerns with, make sure that all adults present are emailed that, and they send it back to you. That's then forwarded to me. I'll forward it on to the ECB team as and when. We've updated the contacts, so there's a lot of varieties about different people you may wish to contact. Claire, just while we're waiting for other questions, and in terms of update, we've often talked in the past about the use of the LADO and about multi-agency approach to that. Would you like to say anything about if there is an incident of concern, what's the sort of procedure in terms of, is it club welfare officer first coaches should go to? Is it club welfare officers come to me as county, or do they come to the ECB team directly, or do they go to the that LADO, the local authority designated officer?
Thanks, Phil. So sometimes LADOs approach club welfare officers directly, but those that are experienced LADOs and know a little bit about how quick it's set up generally come straight to the ECB safeguarding team. So it just depends really what LADO you have some involvement with. What we'd always recommend is that if a case involves a LADO or is likely to involve a LADO, so either you feel that they should be involved or a LADO approaches you, we'd ask you to refer that up to Phil, your county welfare officer. The likelihood is that an investigation involving a LADO will sit with the ECB safeguarding team. So it's really important that you feel supported to refer that up the chain, really. That's what we recommend. There is a scenario actually in the new Safe Hands webinar around LADOs, and we'd like to encourage club welfare officers to refer up to you, Phil, if they've got a case where they feel a LADO might need to get involved.
Okay, good. Thanks for that, Claire. I'm just going to go through the chat box now, and I'm going to start off with David Bars. David, if you want to come in on your mic on that question about the club mark process based on safeguarding.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. I've just had advice from the UCB again about the new club mark process. I appreciate it's focused pretty much entirely on safeguarding, but I'd just like to know, just like you to talk us through that process and what we have to do. I think I understand that we won't need to renew particularly this year, but in terms of registering on a website, I picked that up. Could you just talk us through that process?
Yeah, shall I step in, and then with Claire watching me, I'll be being tested to see how much I listened to her presentation a week ago. Claire, you may have to step in as well. But David, evening to you. Great to hear from you. Just to say, you were one of the first 9 clubs in the county that have been selected for the Safe Hands management system. Simply done on your insurance renewal, because there's a little thank you to all the clubs, and it's been done hopefully to tie in with when your insurance renews. And secondly, if every single club in the country had been given access to the portal, there's a potential for it to fall over, and to avoid that, ECB have decided to sort of stagger the system. Also, it gives us a chance at Essex and other counties to perhaps work with clubs like yourself. So we did send you out an email just to say, I think I sent it to Alison, just get on the system as soon as possible, start to familiarise yourself. As chairman of your club, David, you will also be invited to and need to register. So in the past, one of the subtle changes here is that a lot of clubs will have had 1 or 2 people playing around with Club Mark, collating and uploading the data. I do it for my own club, so I know exactly the sort of routine that you guys are in. But under this new system, it's going to be down to every club to ensure that every single person that is expected to have DBS, CWO qualifications, coaching qualifications, they will need to register themselves. And hopefully, if the system's working, a lot of the certificates, all the qualifications will have been transferred automatically in. And so people like Alison at your club, David, will hopefully see quite a lot of the data completed, making her job a darn sight easier. If not, hopefully it's easily transferable across from the existing club mark. This is the bit where Claire's going to chip in, I'm sure.
Say, did you get that right, Claire?
Yeah.
Yeah, just keep saying that. But next bit, we are actually still waiting for some clarity exactly around what club mark requirements are required. The Safe Hands is really a bolt-on to the club mark. It's an additional item, but we're pretty sure you only have to look at it to see that it pretty much replaces the skills matrix template that we had. So from that point of view, club mark won't need that, but we are led to believe that every club's going to have to do a little bit on club mark as well and get that in place. That's the bit where I need to just ask Claire if I've got that bit right. We as a county do intend to call the clubs that have got club mark at present and are being introduced to this new Safe Hands to what would have been in the past an evening meeting, but it will be via Zoom, a bit like tonight. But we're going to have to judge that because not all 80 clubs, as I've already said, are going on straight away. This is going to be drip fed over the next few weeks and months. So we want to give clubs time to have a little play around, get familiar with it, find out what's working, what's the problem, come to a meeting, tell us what's good and bad. Then I can politely go back to Claire or Richard Watson at ECB and just raise those concerns or hopefully have the answers ourselves. But that's the intention. Claire, do you want to fill in the little bits I may have missed there, if you know?
No, it's spot on, Graham, really. So Richard Dixon is the ECB's guru on club mark, and he's been instrumental in developing and assisting with the Safe Hands management system. So club mark's taken not taken a back seat, but it's been Safe Hands management system forms part of that club mark process. And there is a phased rollout, as Graham has explained, between now and April, with a sort of 31st of July club mark compliance date. So there's going to be plenty of time for you to get on the system and get used to it and start playing around with it and become compliant on that.
Lovely, thanks. That's good. Good question. Questions I think we've already sorted out. One from Rose, one from Dan about club verification, about the present situation. As soon as we hear about any change, we'll communicate it when you can go back to being verified yourselves. A good question from Matthew Elmer. This might be, and I know Graham has answered some of that, and certainly he, as the primary user, it's about, is there somewhere I can access a database which tells me everyone in my club who has a DBS? Smith, do you want to just come into that one as you clarify that?
Yeah, so to, kind of instead of them going straight to ECB and safeguarding team, if they drop an email to us, we can log on to the DBS system and just type in the club basically, and it'll just bring up everybody that's got a DBS attached to that club. I did it this morning for Stansted Hall and for a couple of other clubs. It takes about 5 minutes out of my day, so I'm happy to receive the emails, but please don't do what David Brown did and don't put your club in, because I'm not psychic, and I know David quite well, but if you leave the club off, I can't do it. But you just email with me saying I'm the CWO from, I don't know, West Mersey, and please could you just give me a list of everyone that's got a DBS at our club on the system, and you'll get it back.
Thanks, Smithy.
No problem.
A good question which I can't answer, and it's, with lockdown, many people have not renewed their passport. Can I use a recent expired passport as a verifiable document? Claire, what do you think?
That's a really good question.
I can answer it. Because we tried today. No, the system won't take it.
No.
The system just won't take it. So it's like if your driving license is expired, it comes up red and it just won't take it.
When you do the verification for a passport and a driving license, you have to actually put the expiry date in.
Yeah.
So if it's already expired, the system won't accept it, I'm sure.
Brilliant. Thank you. That's a really good answer to that one. It's good when you get questions like that. So thank you for those coming. Hopefully, welcome Paul from Harlow, CWO. That's, I think, answered the question for you. Just scrolling down to 3 questions which are fairly linked together. One about using your teaching safeguarding qualification in the past, about social work qualification, and about safeguarding young cricketers. The one thing that is clear, and we can always go back to, is Safe Hands. If there's any concern, it's all online. If you want to see it, just log on, ECB, Safe Hands, kit bag, all the documents are there as PDFs, and it is very clear that it is the UK Coaching Safeguarding Protection Children's Certificate, which we've sent around all the details of how you log on to. Anything else?
Just while we're on here, Phil, and while I mentioned SYC, Claire, I'm sorry to put you on the spot. In recent meetings, well, for over a year now, John Neal and his team, and I know they've been really busy in doing all their stuff, have said that they're going to update that, but they needed to speak to safeguarding team, and you've been busy with other stuff. Is there any movement on that yet? Because it is so out of date. I mean, it's so old that Hartley Bishop is still in the videos.
Yes.
That makes it nearly 7 years old at least.
Yes. This is sort of a bit hot off the press, really. We are currently reviewing the SYC, and what we are hoping to achieve is that we update the module, the training that's there already, and that we basically put some bolt-ons. So the SYC, 80% of the SYC, every learner will do that, and then dependent on their role, they'll click on an additional module of 20%, and they'll go in and it will take you through scenarios relevant for your role. So we'll have sort of bolt-ons for coaches, officials, different groups, captains, different groups. So it's all very in its infancy at the moment. We are using a company to help us develop that product. It's not going to be available probably until the back end of the summer, realistically, but watch this space because there is quite a lot of work being done on the SYC to get it up to date.
Brilliant, thanks. I think the question from Nick Elliott, that certainly was the right course you did with Ashley Scott. That's the Safe Hands, 1/3 of that accreditation we talked about earlier. Nigel Wilkes, would you like to come in with your question? Or shall I read it?
Yeah, hi. No, yes, I can do that if you like.
Thank you.
I know I was chatting with Graham yesterday over the access to SHMS and how to go about it. And the one thing I sort of raised an eyebrow on was the rationale behind every single individual having to put in their own information into the system rather than having a key person with the necessary access capability and restrictions doing it on behalf of the club.
So Nigel, there's a couple of reasons for this, and whilst that might seem an onerous task, once you get onto the system and actually see the stuff you have to input, it's literally a 2-minute job. But the reason why the system is set up as it is that basically your club administrator will invite contacts onto the system. So for example, if Graham is a club welfare officer, his club admin will get an invite, send him an invite onto the system, and it's up to him to accept that role or not. So we're not reliant on club admins to put in accurate information. The actual individual can reject the role or accept it dependent on whether they're going to do the role or not. So the information, first of all, is very accurate. And secondly, they're inputting their own information, so there's no GDPR and data protection issues. I know IT have had a lot of consultation with the developers chorus around that, and it was felt more appropriate for each official going onto the system to have the ability to accept or reject their role and put their own details on there.
Brilliant. Cliff, I've got your hand raised. Was that a practice or is that another question? if you want to come in with another question, by all means do. Just a final one from the chat box at the moment, and it's around from David. It's just known as that the DVLA are extending dates on some licenses and not renewing. Does this mean that they are still valid? I mean, that's a DVLA question. I thought if it's valid for them, it's valid for verification. But if it's expired, it's expired. I would think that was the logic from the answer about the passports.
It's a new question, Bill.
Oh, okay, good, Cliff.
Yeah, it's the latest thing you've been talking about. I'd like some sort of guidance from Claire. We were very pleased to receive the new instructions from the ECB, and I've registered on behalf of Loughton, and I very simply and very easily took up the insurance offer from the 1st of March, which is going to save the club probably around £400 a year. I was a bit surprised by this in these times when everyone's desperate for money, and I wondered, is it a special 1 year sort of thing, or is this liable to continue into the future?
The answer, Cliff, is I'm not entirely sure. I'd like to think that it's an ongoing provision, but that's something that I'd need to check for sure.
It was certainly very welcome. It was a very simple process, very easy form to fill in. They phoned me up. They're also quoting for our other insurance. They were very, very helpful. And the whole process took me less than probably 20 minutes. Very good.
That's really great feedback, Cliff. I will speak to Rich Dixon from the ECB and let him know, because he's worked really hard to get that offer up and running. And I'll also find out about extension of it, and I'll feed back to Graham and the two Grahams to let you know the answer. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Cliff. Good question. And finally, from Mary and also Rose, about a question about DBS. The DBS information is pretty clear on the website about how you start off a new one. Graham's explained how you can get some information if you need to, just by sending in a request. So again, if we do it on email, it's sometimes easier than leaving messages on phones. Just put down on an email any information you want, giving as much details as you've got, and then Graham, myself, or one of the other members of staff will come back to you. We did say that we would try and keep these sessions to 40 minutes, so they are not endless. I think we'll without any more hands up and any more questions, we will have a stop here. Is there any last points that Claire you'd like to make?
I just wondered whether we haven't answered those safe hands management questions.
Yeah, do you want me to just step in there? Sorry, Claire.
Hi, sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry, it's Mariah.
Go on, Murray.
Hi, yeah, thanks. It's Mariah here. With regards to admin confirmation on the SHMS, obviously we send out, or the admin sends out the invitation. How will we know when that's been completed under GDPR restrictions, or will we be notified that they have completed their end?
I'll step in there. Mairead, good evening. Great to hear from you. At the moment, because you're not, I don't think you were one of the first 9 clubs, this will all sound very alien to you, but I'm sure that John and some of the others that have had the first introduction will see you actually get a lot of data that will show up, and it will start to show you who's completed. I think that's right, Claire. So you will know, you'll probably be able to guess, if you're like most clubs, the people are going to be slack and not complete. But you will actually know who the individuals are, and so you won't need to start sending blanket emails to people. You'll be able to target the individuals who haven't completed it, and it's going to be essential, and this is a message to all the clubs, that every single person on that list has to complete. So you as a club may be brilliant, you might have completed 90% of the work, but you'll be relying on a couple of, let's say, a captain of a third team, or you might be waiting on somebody to complete it. and your club will not get club mark, you won't get your safe hands completed, and everyone right the way through ECB down to us and you at club level will know who that is. So it's, again, this isn't about naming and shaming, it's just the system is there and it's there to help so that you'll be able to complete it. Can I just also, I hope that answers that a bit for you, Mairead. It will be a lot easier.
Thank you. Yes, you have, Graham. Yeah, thank you.
Just very quickly, I'm sorry we're running over a bit of time here, but for the benefit of those who haven't got club mark, I'm wondering what on earth we've been talking about as part of a safeguarding meeting. So I do apologise for hijacking it a bit, but there is a bit of an overlap. Can I just say that because we're in this very much a pilot year of trying to get the safe hands out alongside club mark, that we are not looking or unable to really allow any new clubs on to club mark. I've had already several inquiries from clubs, which is absolutely fantastic. Several of them are on the call tonight. I've already said to them, happy to have a call with them about sort of working behind the scenes, but we don't really want to burden ECB by putting any new clubs on. The only ones that we are remotely looking at are where they might be looking to go in the Essex Premier League or East Anglian Premier League next year and have a really good reason, but that's very few and far between. Otherwise, it doesn't have any impact on cricket, and as soon as it's practical to, we will obviously get you on board.
Okay, thanks, Pikey, for that contribution. Graham's just had a request to put your email address. If you can just pop that in the chat box, and thanks, Graham Smith, for your contributions. Thanks, Claire, for joining us in. It's been a really, really positive session. We've had over 100 people joining us this evening. I know some of you have had to wait because we bottom out 100. You've only been able to get in once somebody's left it. And I guess they haven't been able to get in. But that's showing everybody enthusiasm. A big thanks to all of you guys who have joined us this evening, as I say, 100 plus. The news is that your job title is going to change. You'll no longer be known as club welfare officers, but club safeguarding officers. So if you do get something through about the club safeguarding officer, it's just a new term for that. And I'll be known as the county safeguarding officer. So final word from Claire, if you want to say anything about that or anything else, Claire, anything at all?
Yeah, no, just to say that, you know, we recognise all the hard work that you do, and actually the term welfare doesn't really fully encapsulate all the hard work that you do out there in Essex. So just to bring us all in line with external agencies, statutory agencies and internal ECB safeguarding team, we're changing the name. It won't really have too much impact on you. There's going to be no timescales in terms of a changeover, but we would like to start making a move towards using the term safeguarding rather than welfare. So there is going to be some communications being sent out via your county just to give a little bit more information around that with some FAQs. So look out for that. You should really get that, you know, end of this week, beginning of next week. But I'll share that with Graham and Phil, and then it'll give you more of an explanation as to the reasons why we're making that change.
Okay, thanks.